The facts is that they didn't let me testify. They said I was too angry. The facts is that the jury allowed him to say that he was not guilty. The facts is that he had a prior DCFS case that was dropped. The facts is that third, that was the facts. And his confession, that was a fact.
Mm.
And everybody knew that he was guilty, the facts. So, and then like the detective investigation, that was a fact. The evidence was a fact. So how do we just walk me free? And this is something I have to mourn about my daughter every day. I got to mourn about her. And you get to walk free and live your own life.
Her father, Jakarriah Thompson, was charged. Lansing police said he was angry. She wasn't potty trained. And they say Thompson, who was previously investigated by DCFS, gave a videotaped confession.
The once accused child is free.
So is it okay to beat your kid and for them to, and you just run free?
This is the little girl's grandmother.
I'd just like to say that the people that served on that jury, I hope you sleep good at night. I really do, because you made a big mistake.
So Karla, it's iCkEdMeL, Melvin. Thank you so much for coming on. And I wanted to talk to you a bit about your daughter, Jakaria.
Jakaria, yeah.
Jakaria. She was 2 at the time. And the father, Jeremiah, he was 21 years old at the time. And this whole incident took place in 2014. And I also want to ask you real quick. Lansing is in Chicago, right?
Yes.
Okay.
In Lansing.
Can you kind of take me back? Well, tell me a little bit about Jakaria.
Jakaria was a very loving little girl as far as me and her brother. You know, she was very smart, funny. Like if somebody was down and out, she was a little girl that can bring up the best of somebody. She was very bright to others. She was a person that had a personality that you wouldn't even think that a 2.5-year-old girl would have. You would think that she'd been here before, but she really hasn't been here before.
And can you lead me up to a little bit of about the father, Jeremiah? Like what happened? Well, I heard from what I read that he has a history with DCFS. And did he admit to her?
As far as when I met him, yes, he did have a record of DCFS. But he didn't show me any signs at the time as far as he was sick or anything. He wasn't seeing a psychiatrist. He wasn't taking any psych medication.
Was that the history? Was it somebody else's kid or was it with Jakaria?
Well, his mother had passed away, so they were saying their mother off of. So, and he did tell me years ago that he was by his cousin some years ago.
The father.
But it never affected me and my children because I was with him. My son was 2, so it never affected anything up until I broke up with him.
Okay. How many siblings does Jakaria have?
She has 1.
Okay.
As of my son that's 14 right now that's affected by it. You want to meet him?
Oh, 14. Wow. Yeah, sure.
Jeremiah! Look, this is her right here. Oh, let me see if I can turn the camera. Oh. Can you see it?
Yeah.
That was it. He accidentally washed it in his pants.
Oh. Oh, he's sleeping. He knocked out.
He's not asleep. He's just going through his emotional phase.
But kids, man.
He's the one that's really affected by it. So he's taking it harder. Like I'm taking it hard because I had her, but he's taking it harder too.
Did Jeremiah have her full time, or was she visiting? Did the incident happen in his home, or
yes, in his home? It happened in his girlfriend's home. Her parents had owned the house, and she moved him in, and that was the house that her parents had owned.
What? So did he have her all the time, like full time, or?
No. See, what happened was, We were in a relationship during my pregnancy, and after my pregnancy, he came home when she was 1.5 years old. He got caught cheating. I left him, broke up with him, didn't turn back. The only thing that you could have was visitation with your child. That's it. The visitation, I guess, wasn't good enough for him to where things was like becoming intense, and then it became abusive, which was a 2013 case that I reported to the police and also reported to a hospital to identify her bruises, which became what they say, I guess child. They dropped the case, never.
So there was another
contacted.
incident in 2013?
Correct.
Wow.
Where they never contacted me to justify Jakaria bruises. She had bruises on her stomach, her chest, her back. She had a bald spot in the middle of her hair, her butt, her legs, and they never contacted me to justify her injuries due to seeing a DCFS case record or hospital. So when the judge dropped it, he dropped it and granted him his parental rights for visitation and threatened me with contempt of court or whatever it was for not allowing him to see her. I had fell down and was going through living situations where things became more of a struggle for me being able to have my kids because I can't have my kids living how I was living. So,
right. Well, and that's crazy because even with the history, though, he was still able to get custody rights and stuff like that.
The judge, once the judge dropped it, he granted him his visitation rights.
Right.
The day that he dropped it, it was a male. He was at a juvenile courthouse. The day that it was dropped, they granted him his visitation rights. When he told me about it, he said, I told you I never do nothing to hurt my daughter. And when I hung up on him to call the courthouse, they told me that it was dropped. I asked them why. They said that we're not able to disclose the information and that he is granted for his visitation is what they told me, which was 2013. And that if he wasn't allowed to see her, that I would be held in contempt for 10 days, is what they told me, to be exactly true.
And this situation of Jakaria being murdered, that was in March 2014, I believe?
That was March 19th of 25th. That was March 19th, 2014.
Wow.
I'm sorry, but yeah.
And so all this time, because he was in jail for 8 years, he was held without bond. And the videotape confession that they're talking about, do you know if that's videotape that DCFS had or that he admitted to the police and that it was recorded?
That's a video request. That was a video confession to the detectives of what he did, how he did it, why he did it. And it was 2 hours, if I'm not mistaken. I can be corrected. But it was a 2-hour confession of his doing to the detectives. That was a confession from his mouth.
The medical examiner informed us of the internal injuries that this girl sustained. He talked to us about what had happened, and it was consistent with the injuries. I don't know what more you can ask for.
Not them.
Did you ever see it or hear it?
I didn't have to hear it because every confession that was in there, I knew about it already because it was already said to me. It didn't have to be played to me. I wasn't able to testify to hear how everything played out because I wasn't allowed in the courtroom because they said I was too angry.
Does Jeremiah have other kids?
No, she's his first and only.
And so, from what I was hearing, this was over just like potty training, like a mistake, like just and I guess did he normally have like outbursts and stuff that you knew about? Like, was he an angry person?
He's never been an angry person because I was with him for 5 years and I never seen an outrage in him. I never seen the worst in him. I never seen the bad in him. Like, he popped her one time for dancing. He felt like that was just too much because she's a little girl and he didn't want her to grow up too fast. So he popped her. I couldn't, take that away from him as far as him coming home and him disciplining her as far as popping her because she was shaking her butt. And every father will want to see their daughter shaking. And, she was following me because I'm all that she knew. And he popped her with his fingers. It wasn't with his hands or any of the nature.
Pop like what?
Like it was like one of these.
Oh,
like
okay. Yeah.
And he did that. She cried because my daughter, I don't hit my daughter. I don't pop her. I put her in the corner. She know what's the corner is. And she was crying and I felt bad. But I couldn't take that discipline away from him because he's a father and I understand because no father wants to see their daughter shaking their butt, So I didn't see that as a sign. I didn't see it as a abuse, or I didn't see it. If it was abuse, it would have been a different story, but I didn't see it as that. So I let it move on. And when past, we broke up. We wasn't together. And when the second incident, he popped her. That was the first time of him putting his hands on her. But I can't say hands because it was a pop. Second time was the DCFS, where I involved DCFS in it. That was the second time. Yep. And then this time is what took place.
So the 2013, that's the time he did physically hurt her. She had the bruises. Yeah. Wow. And I wonder where that came from. Like, why? I was wondering, like, what how could somebody do something like that? Like, what brings somebody?
I don't know what can bring somebody to do something. Like me, I didn't hit my kids. I never hit my kids. Like, so I couldn't understand to tell you why.
Right.
I couldn't justify why something like this could occur. That something went. It's unexplainable. I don't know. I can't give you the answers because I still haven't received the answers of why, what, or where. I just couldn't explain it. All I could explain is that what don't sit well with me is because I raised her, I had her, I've been there, and I know during this time that this was going on. I know she was crying for me, and I feel like that's what caused him to go harder because she was crying out for me, and he hated that because he wanted me and he couldn't have me, and that's just how I feel. He was trying to teach her a lesson, like, well, you can't have her. Whatever he said, I know she reached out to me, cried out to me, and I wasn't there to protect her like I was supposed to.
Man, I'm sorry. I sometimes think about that, like the whole thing where parents, I'm in that, I separated too, and then like sometimes the other parent sees the other parent in the child, like sometimes their mannerisms, their voice, and then sometimes too I think they kind of take things out on the kid because the other parent, they're not with the parent, they want to be with them, or they get angry, or they just see the other parent.
They told me that's what it was. They said, I feel like he did that to get back at you. But even if so, your child has nothing to do with what we have going on, And it's like, I just wish that the judge didn't grant him that.
Lansing police tonight say they saw it as a slam dunk case.
My 24 years in law enforcement, I've never seen anything this bad. Very, very devastating for that family, and our detectives around here are heartbroken for the family.
And then it's like, I don't know, like, I have no belief no more. It's like, I'm so lost. Like, I lost faith with so much. I have no more hope in so much. The jury made me feel like I have no more hope in nothing. I lost so much. It's like, I don't even know where to begin. It's like I'm begging, crying out for help for so much. And it's like I'm trying to be so strong for my son and for myself, But I can't be about myself because I know how I feel, but I'm trying to be there more for my son. It's like it's so hard to find help and it's justice that they just acquitted it like there's no more hope. And I'm just begging and crying out for help to lead me into the right direction at this point. Cause like a part of me is like I feel like I'm shattering. I feel like I'm reliving this. I feel like from the time I got the call, I feel like I'm just so heartbroken again. I feel like I'm losing myself. I'm just trying to find a way.
And
I really am.
I just can't even imagine what happened in that trial. They could, especially after this alleged, they're saying this admitted confession. That's what the articles are saying and everything. How they came to that conclusion, and so now he's going to be free.
He's already free.
He's already free.
He's been free since Monday of the trial day. He was found not guilty.
That's incredible, and they can't charge him. Like they can't take him back for those charges. Like once I guess it's not guilty, then that's it for those charges. The murder, that's wild.
And now it's like I'm just trying to find a way. I'm trying to go about it the system way to try to find justice because I feel like my little girl didn't deserve that. And then it's like the injuries, that's what sticks with me. That makes me feel so sick to my stomach. It's like, it's the injuries that's like bothering me. And then it's like the thought that you're free. It's just so much that sits with me that makes me so sick to my stomach. Like, that you can walk and live your life like nothing ever happened. And it's like this baby just sat here and suffered all of this. And it's like, I don't know what God's assignment is, but the faith is losing. It's like, I don't know what the jury thought was, or how did they come to that conclusion. Like, it was a 2-hour confession. He blurred out in court, in jury, that he did it, but he didn't mean to. But it was an accident. He was charged with accidental murder too. And based off his childhood should not hold him accountable for as an adult. He wasn't taking medication. He was not seeing a psychiatrist. He wasn't hospitalized. I feel like that shouldn't have been held accountable. So it's what I feel is that I feel like it's forgive my child. I'm like, it's forgive my child and her justice, and it's sympathizing with him more than the child that he did. How does that work? How does the justice system work? Like, it's like I'm starting to feel like there's no hope into that. Like, I feel like I'm losing the opportunities and the options, and I'm just waiting patiently for something to happen to lead me into the right direction to get justice for this case.
8 years is a long time. All that time just to now be like, not guilty.
No, 8 years was because it started from he wanted to do a jury trial. Then he played the games. Then it went from he wanted to do a 402, I think it was, conference. Then he played the game. Then he acted like he wanted to do another jury. He played the games. Wow. Then he acted like he wanted to go for another 402 conference, played the games. Then he went for the offer, played the game, to where everything led up to...
So he was dragging it out.
Yeah, he dragged it out. He wasn't meant to. He dragged it out because he knew people was telling him how to play the system, and he did just that. And he beat them at their own game.
Wow.
That's how I feel.
Well, Karla, I'm really sorry to hear that. I hope that we can maybe some other people take a look at this, even though, like, I mean, I don't know what else they can do from here as far as like charges. I don't know if they could find something else. It's just crazy. I wonder if they'd even release that videotape confession now that the trial's over. Maybe so people could see for themselves, you know, I don't know.
They're going to tell you that they can't do nothing. They're going to tell you that they took it to trial and he was found not guilty. And the thing is that everybody knew that he was guilty. The state's attorney knew he was guilty.
That's crazy.
The judge knew that he was guilty. He knew that he was guilty. I'm pretty sure that his public pretender knew that he were guilty. He had a 2-hour confession. Well, nobody can't nobody tell you nothing that happened in their household. And it's like, you know,
No.
it's just how do you live your life knowing what you did? It's like, it's just an undescribable feeling to know that you walking free, knowing she suffered. That's what kills me, is knowing that she suffered and that you walking free. That's what kills me. And I'm trying to do everything in my best power to find some adjustment, find some type of help, find some type of guidance to lead me into the right direction. Because Lord knows, like, I'm really suffering from this. I'm suffering. This is like an open wound all over again. And it feels so fresh to me.
Man, yeah, I don't even know what to say. That's just it's horrible. This guy's just out. Back to, I guess he gets to have his life back, you know, so. He was trying to say he did it by accident, like it was an accident or something? Or?
But he was charged for accidental, too. He was found not guilty.
Wow. That's crazy. Well, Karla, I really appreciate you coming on to talk about the situation, because you definitely shared more than I could see that's on the news. Hopefully we can get a little bit of attention. Maybe there's something they can look back at and see that was done wrong throughout the trial. I don't know. Or find some other charge.
Yeah, that's it. And it won't amount to her life. It won't amount to excuses to what he did. I don't know. I'm just sitting here lost. Like, I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm trying to figure it out on my own. I'm just trying to be strong for my son to figure this out. That's it.
Well, feel free to reach out to me, Karla, or if there's anything else I can put out. I'm going to use some of the pictures that your sister sent me, because I know she reached out to me to try to give a little bit of attention to the story, because there's barely like a blip on the internet or anything, or anybody talking about it. So I'll use some of those pictures.
Yeah, a lot of people are talking about it, but they're not speaking on the facts. The facts is that they didn't let me testify. They said I was too angry. The facts is that the jury allowed him to say that he was not guilty. The facts is that he had a prior DCFS case that was dropped. The facts is that he killed her. That was the facts. And his confession, that was a fact. And everybody knew that he was guilty, the facts. So, and then, like, the detective investigation, that was a fact. The evidence was a fact. So, I have no idea. Them is real facts. Those is the real prior real facts to Jakaria.